Hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here. Back with some more Sacramento Kings talk. Hopefully you're here for the whole video. I got some really important things to talk about today. So, Keon, Ellis and Dennis Schroder are out, and in is DeAndre Hunter. What are your thoughts about that? I'm going to give you my thoughts. And the trade deadline is officially passed today. And that's pretty much the only trade that happened. Is Scott Perry asleep at the wheel? And is the tank still on? Or are the Kings trying to win games still? All that and more next on the Sacramento Kings Cup of Joe with Jay Woods. Yes, thank you for joining me. Hopefully you're here for the whole video. We got some good stuff today. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for joining me. You know the topic. You know the topics. Sacramento Kings talk. Hopefully you're here for the whole video. To all my friends, all my folks, and to all you Kings fans out there, it's your guy, Jay Woods, aka Shy the Man, and I'm back at you with another episode of the Kings Cup of Joe with Jay. And as you can see, it's not a cup of Joe. I actually had a smoothie. Made a smoothie. It's pretty late in the day, actually. Afternoon. So instead of a cup of Joe, I got a smoothie today. Good to crank up some of that natural energy from some fruit. I actually put some chia seeds in there. Call me weird, call me whatever, but a little bit of fiber in there. And it's a tasty shake. Took some vitamins. I'm feeling healthy. And today is February 5th, 2026. And today is Thursday.
Back in the days when I was young.
That's right. It is Throwback Thursday.
I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
For your Throwback Thursday. How you like that? And like I said, hopefully you're here for the whole video. I got some important things I want to talk about the Sacramento Kings. But before I get too heavy into it, I do ask that you please like this content. Go ahead and click that like button. We're trying to grow the channel. Clicking that like button will help bring more eyes to the channel. Also, click that subscribe button. If you want to hear Kings talk, you like hearing Kings news, Kings analysis, we're even going to do some documentaries on here as well about the Sacramento Kings, and those are going to be very interesting. I guarantee that. So you're going to want to click that subscribe button so you can be a part of that. Also, if you can, make a comment. Please make a comment. Comment on the Sacramento Kings. Comment on me. Comment on how I'm doing. I don't care. Comment on anything. Comment on the weather. I don't care. A comment helps as well. And also, if you can do me a big, huge favor, share this content. Share this content for your boy. Sharing this content really helps. Hopefully your friends will all check it out and maybe they'll subscribe to me too. So I appreciate your work helping me out. So Keon Ellis, one of the fan favorites, is out. He is out of Sacramento. So is Dennis Schroder. Not so much, or Schroder, however you say that. He wasn't so much a fan favorite, but he was a guy that Scott Perry picked up. He gave him $15 million a year. A lot of people were kind of skeptical on that, asking why would he pay that much for a journeyman in Schroder who hasn't really proved much or shown much. So some of the fans were kind of like, what was going on with that? Why would Scott Perry pick him up of all people? I thought it was a good pickup at the time because in my eyes, Dennis Schroder was a pretty good setup man and would have been a good setup man for Sabonis, especially in the pick and roll offense. He's a good half court point guard. You know, he's good at setting up his big man. Pick and roll game, lob game, that type of play. Also had a decent jump shot, decent mid-range jump shot and three-point shot. But it just didn't pan out for the Kings in the way I thought it would. He was a lot less favorable in the lineup. Once we got Westbrook, Westbrook kind of took over the starting role. And I believe it's just because the way he plays point guard was just a little quicker and more fast break oriented. So, in my opinion, that's kind of what Doug Christie wanted: more fast paced team, and he was a lot more similar to the way De'Aaron Fox played than Schroder played. So, I believe those are the reasons why Westbrook ended up being the starter. And then it was almost to the point where Dennis Schroder wasn't even really needed, although he did play backup. And then Keon Ellis is a guy that the Kings kind of brought up through the G League. He was a guy that they developed, and then he got a contract with the Kings and was playing some really important minutes for the Kings. They considered him a D&3 guard. You know, it was a guy that we were able to use because of his three-point shooting and his defense. You know, he was really good on defense, especially guys up to his size and maybe a little bit taller than him. But now the Kings have traded both of those guards away, which I think a lot of people, a lot of fans, critics kind of thought there was probably a backlog at point guard anyway. So the Kings traded 2 guards away for DeAndre Hunter, who is a taller guy. He's also claimed to be pretty good on defense, although there are people out there that beg to differ and would say he's actually not that good on defense. So it's kind of back and forth on that subject on whether DeAndre Hunter is a good defensive player or not. He did play last night. He played one game, and he looked pretty good on defense. He didn't look like a player that was going to just let his man go to the basket or get easy shots. He did get a lot of fouls, and he didn't make a lot of points himself, but he did play some decent defense, I thought, in that first game that he played last night. And just quick eye test, you know, DeAndre Hunter is taller. He's taller than Keon Ellis and Schroder, however you say that. So in that aspect, you know, he's taller. He's a taller player, and they instantly were using him on the wing in last night's game. So I could see him being the small forward to Keegan Murray, power forward, whenever Keegan Murray comes back to the lineup. So height looked good. You know, he was taller than those other guys. He started, which neither of those guys were really starting. They threw DeAndre Hunter right in the starting lineup. So to me, that says it's a player that Doug Christie is going to use, a player that he wants out there, a tall, small forward that plays defense. His stats this year wouldn't really blow you out the water. I want to say he's averaging about 14 points per game, which is fine, which is good. Could he average more than that? Maybe, possibly. We'll see. He'll just have to be aggressive on offense. A lot of people want to say this was a good trade or this was a bad trade. In my opinion, you know, we got rid of 2 of our assets. We didn't get any picks out of it. I would have liked to get at least a pick out of the trade. And for some reason, there was a third team involved, and they got a couple of our picks, which I'm not sure why that happened. But it would have been nice to get a pick or 2 out of the trade as well. So a lot of people, I think, were kind of sad to see Keon Ellis go. He's kind of a homegrown talent that we kind of raised and developed into a pretty good player. But I also think that a lot of players kind of inflate his stats and inflate his usefulness. Yeah, he's a good D&3 guy, and I think he can do some good things in like fourth quarters and stuff like that. He did struggle on offense a little bit, though. If he wasn't hitting his three-point shots, he wasn't really a guy that can go out and get buckets. He wasn't really much of a playmaker, and he didn't get a ton of assists either. Just kind of a D&3 guy, plays D, and he'll hit the 3 if the ball gets to him and he's open. So Keon Ellis, you know, he was a good player. Is DeAndre Hunter better? I think so. I think he is a better player. And then Schroder, we gave him Schroder, but he wasn't really doing much for the Kings anyway. He wasn't doing much for us. So, in my opinion, we didn't lose anything by giving up Schroder. So, I believe it was a good trade for the Kings. I believe that this will be good for the Kings. It shortens up the backlog of point guards. We have a lot less point guards now, 2 less point guards now. So, that will obviously affect things a little bit. We got to see Nick Clifford play point guard, starting at point guard last night, which wasn't that great. He didn't do that great. I'm not sure if that's going to work out for him playing point guard, but this is the time to try those things in a season like this. Why not try and why not see what Nick Clifford can do at point guard and see if he can be a point guard. He doesn't seem like a natural point guard. He had a few turnovers as well, so that's going to be interesting to pay attention to. But I feel like the Kings did okay with this trade. Was it the big glamorous trade that everybody wanted to see? Probably not. We'll just have to go from there. Will he fit in with the Kings? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's going to work or not. People are asking, this means we're still trying to win games. I don't think it does. I think it's just a piece that Scott Perry feels like can do good on this team that he's trying to build with defensive-minded players. I don't think we lost the trade like some people are saying. It's just kind of we'll have to wait and see. Did we lose some assets? Maybe Keon Ellis was a kind of an asset, but you got to give up something to get something. And the Kings didn't get fleeced, so we'll have to wait and see how this works out for them. And as of today, the trade deadline has passed. And that is going to be the only trade that we do during this season. I don't know why I thought the trade deadline was farther out, but it has passed today. So there will be no more trades until the end of the season. How do you guys feel about that? If you're watching this, make a comment right now. How do you feel about the Kings only making one trade at the deadline? What does that tell you? It tells me that either there was nobody out there to get, or nobody really wanted the players and the assets that we have, or Scott Perry just wasn't trying to be fleeced by anybody. And, he's taken a very strategized approach at how he builds this team. And he is not going to get fleeced, in my opinion, is how it feels. Could he have gotten more in this past trade? I mean, possibly, maybe. Who knows? Who knows who wanted Keegan Ellis and Schroder? And if there was a better trade out there, or if we should have got more assets. It's hard to say. Is Scott Perry asleep at the wheel? Is he sitting on his hands? Now, that is a very interesting question, and I saw a lot of tweets with guys calling Scott Perry Sleepy Perry, or having emojis with him asleep. But I believe Scott Perry's been out there. I believe he's been talking to other teams and other executives about players. But like I said, he's not going to be fleeced. He's not going to be taken advantage of. And I believe one of the big things that Scott Perry wants, and that I don't believe a whole lot of teams are offering, is picks. I believe Scott Perry wants some picks out of these trades. Will more stuff happen at the end of the season? Probably. Probably more things will happen at the end of the season, I believe. I also believe teams will be more willing to do things and possibly give up draft picks at the end of the season, once their fates have been decided and they're either not in the playoffs or get kicked out of the playoffs. Then people are going to be more willing to trade guys that are on their team and possibly picks. From my understanding, it sounded like there was possibly talks with Toronto Raptors in regards to Sabonis. And that possibly didn't go through because Scott Perry wanted more picks than what Toronto was willing to give up. And I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Scott Perry for not being taken advantage of. I'm not on the team of let's just do something just to do it. Even if we do get fleeced a little bit, even if it is kind of one-sided a little bit, get these guys out of here. No, I that's not the way I want to operate. That's not the way I want to handle this rebuild, because the Kings have done that forever. The Kings have gotten fleeced on trades forever. And that's part of the reason why we're in this situation now. We just don't have enough talent and we don't have enough draft picks coming up. So is Scott Perry asleep at the wheel? I don't think so. I just think he's not trying to be fleeced and he's waiting for the right deals and he wants picks, which teams are not willing to give up. And it's yet to be seen if Scott Perry can turn this team around. I feel like he needs a little bit more time. He's only been on the job for a little over a season. He needs more time. He needs more time to build this team up. And this is the Sacramento Kings. Everybody's not in a rush to come here. So it takes a certain way to build teams up here in Sacramento, as we know, as Sacramento Kings fans. Also, I've heard some people talking about just paying off players to just go away. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you do that? Why would you pay off DeMar DeRozan just so he can go be a free agent and play somewhere else? He plays hard. He plays hard every game. He's a true professional in the basketball sense, and he has no problem playing with the Kings, as you can tell. Levine, pay him off, let him go find another team. No, why would you do that? He is an asset. Pay off Sabonis, let him go find another team. Like, no, we don't want to do that. These guys are assets. These guys can be traded for other pieces or at least draft picks. We don't want to just lose these guys just because their contracts are big. So I'm not a fan of paying these guys out either. And my last topic is the tank still on. Are the Kings still tanking for the number one pick or for a top pick? With this recent pickup of DeAndre Hunter without picking up any draft picks? In my opinion, no, the tank is not over. I don't really believe there ever really was a tank. I just think this team was a lot worse than what Doug Christie expected. I just think that this team was just not well constructed. So there never really was a tank. I just think people didn't realize how bad this team is. This team is not a good team at all. It's not well constructed. And we knew that from the beginning. We knew that it was an unbalanced team and it wasn't well constructed. I just don't think people thought that this was a last place team with some of the players and some of the stars that we do have on this team. It doesn't seem like they would be a last place team. But, poor roster construction, poor chemistry, guys not really clicking on the court. There was even a quote from Dennis Schroder, who says he feels good to be away from the Kings now because he feels like the ball will be passed around more, which is kind of taking shots at somebody. It's saying something. Somebody wasn't passing them the ball. I don't know if it was Levine or DeMar or Sabonis. I'm not sure, but he's the point guard. He's supposed to be the one passing the ball. But it was kind of interesting that he says the ball moves around more. He's able to run more. Also, something he said, which I thought the Kings were trying to be a fast break team, a running team. But some of Schroeder's comments were kind of interesting. So, subjectively speaking, the tank is still on, even though I never really thought it was a true tank or they were tanking on purpose. But now that they see they're not going to land a spot anywhere near play-in or playoff, I don't think there's much emphasis in winning a bunch of games anymore at this point. There's a lot of development going on. A lot of the young guys are getting a lot more time now. We even saw Devin Carter on the court last night, which is probably also due to the fact that we just traded 2 guards away, 2 ball handlers away. That probably has something to do with that also. But with less guards, we got Devin Carter out there getting some more time. We can see what he's all about. Maybe he can be traded. Maybe he's an asset. Maybe he can be a good role player or bench player for us. We also saw Nick Clifford getting some point guard action last night as well. So it's basically time to develop the young guys. Doug is not overplaying the vets. And if they're not playing defense, they get yanked anyway. So it is what it is. The tank is still on. The Kings are not trying to win games last minute by getting DeAndre Hunter. I still see them playing a lot of the young guys at the end of the games, which tells me that they're not focusing on winning. They're focusing on developing the young guys and developing this team at the moment. So I don't think we have to worry about that. The Kings are in last place now, which they weren't in my last video. They weren't all the way in last place, but they are now currently in last place, which says a lot about this team. And also the Kings just need to be careful because the last place team isn't guaranteed the number one spot anymore. That's not how the ping pong balls bounce anymore. They've changed the rules around a little bit to where if you are the last place team, the worst pick you can get is 5th pick. So they have the best chances of getting 1 through 4, the 1 through 4 pick. So even though they're last place team, they're still not guaranteed the number 1 pick. But, you know, hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll get the number 1 pick and at least one of the top 3 picks, which I think are 3 really good players in the top 3 positions of this college draft, this upcoming college draft. So the tank is not over with. They're not trying to win games. They got developmental guys playing, so the Kings will probably get a really good draft spot, and hopefully they'll be able to get a really good player out of this draft. And that's it. That's all I have for today. And that was my cup of joe, French toast, 1 creamer. But today I do not have my cup of joe. It's a smoothie. I'm getting my energy from that. So being healthy with the smoothie. Thank you for joining me. Before I go, please click that like button. Please click the subscribe button if you're into Kings Talk. Also, make a comment for your boy. That helps out. And please, if you can, share this content. I really appreciate you. And with that, I'm out. But before I go, see my moves. It's good.